Welcome to Robin Hood Shaving Artisans. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a very short video on how to clean 4 of the most common types of razors that we have. If you ever go on to eBay, you'll see a lot of used razors. Some of them look clean and other ones just look absolutely awful because they haven't been cleaned, and it's over years and years and years that they've let the gunk or the soap scum build up on them. So I personally like my razors to be clean and like new after every shave, whether it's the first shave or the 50th shave. So let me go over this. Let's get right to it. I've got several of the most common types of razors. This is a razor by Supply, and it's a single edge razor. And once you because it's an injector, in order to fully clean this you have to take it totally apart, which I don't think they recommend, but if you want to keep it clean, I would. So there's one screw here, and underneath the screw there is a spring. So I'm going to undo this to show you how it's done, and of course it fell out. You want to make sure you don't lose that spring. And then the plate comes out like this, and then the razor comes out. Okay, so what you do then, I'm going to leave this right here. You get some soap. I've got the soap right here, and you get an old brush. This is a brush that was broken off, a toothbrush, and I'll wet it and I'll dip it in the soap, and then I just get in here and I just scrub it all over. Okay, if you have any areas like around this little, and let me point this out, see if you can see it, like right in here, if there's any areas around in here, what I usually do is I'll take a Q-tips and I'll just go around the edge here to keep it clean, and I'll let it dry before I put it back together. The other part of the razor, well, at least while you have it apart, you can see even on this one now, I cleaned it really well under the sink. I'm going to hold it up to the camera a little bit better, maybe you can see it. But I need to get in here and really clean this under the water and with some soap. Back and forth around here, and just clean it, dry it off the best you can. Take a clean Q-tips with nothing on it. If the soap has been there for a long time, I'll usually use 70% alcohol. I'll just take like this alcohol here, 70%. I'll dip my Q-tips in it and rub it all over. It evaporates very nicely. Just if you're going to do that, make sure that you don't cut yourself with this razor blade, and take care when you put it back together. But again, don't lose this little spring here, or this little thing. It'll go flying off in your carpet and you'll never find it again, so just be careful. All right, the next one I'm going to go over is very common razor. Guess what this is? This is a Merkur 34C. Very nice closed comb razor. It unscrews from the bottom like this. Okay, and then what happens, the top comes off, etc. So when you turn it over, you see the grooves in here. So I'll put it under the sink. I'll get this wet. Go again, do this with the soap, and then I'll go around the actual threads, and I'll clean all the threads off, and then I'll tip it up on the edge, and then I want to get between this post and the other little post right here. Sorry about bumping the camera here, like this here. But you'll find that in every razor that has these 3 types of posts sticking up to help anchor the razor blade, that right in between this area and here and around these posts, you're going to get a little buildup of scum and soap. Again, take your Q-tips, dip it in the alcohol, rub it around there, get it dry. It will clean up very nicely, especially if you do it every time. If you wait for weeks and weeks or months, it's going to be a little tougher. Let it dry, and then set that off to the side. And then the same thing with this portion of the razor. What I'll do is I'll get in here with it, and I'll go back and forth after I put the soap on it. And then I can also, the nice thing about Q-tips is you can actually go in the hole and you can clean those out, because sometimes they get kind of gunky too. Now, don't forget to turn it over and do the back side the same way. Yeah, let's see. We'll do this here like this here. Get all around here. Again, you can use the alcohol if you need to. Let it dry for about, I'd say for about 30 minutes, and then put it back together and you should be fine. Let's put that off to the side. All right, the next razor I'm going to show you, this happens to be a razor from 1930. It's a Gillette. I just bought this. This is I believe it's a platinum, and it comes from Backroads Gold out in Chloride, Arizona. My friend Chris out there. That's who I bought this from. I have several razors from him. He does a beautiful job with replating them. But anyway, on this particular razor, it's a 3-piece razor. When you take it apart, bang, you do that, and then this comes off like that. This is an open comb razor. So what I'll do, I'll take my soap again, and I go down and I clean all the combs on both sides. Then I'll flip it over, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. But you make sure, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but you try to get in these grooves right in here, up and down, and just make it nice and clean. You can use alcohol again if you choose. Go in the little hole. I usually one time, and it's pretty adequate. I set it off to the side. Then I take this part. This is closed on the end, so I don't have to worry about it. But this gets gunky around the edge, right in this area in here. So I'll take a cloth like this here, and I'll just wipe it. Okay, like that. That really shines it up. And then before I put it together again, I'll make sure that everything is clean. I'll wipe all the parts the best I can. Get all the scum until it's nice and clean. Wait a few minutes, and then I'll put it back together. So on this one, we'll just do this. Make sure, I don't care what razor you're using, it's a little bit more difficult with the Supply Company razor, the first one I showed you, the single edge razor, but take the razor blades out. You don't want to keep the razor blades inside the razor. It's just not a good practice. All right, the fourth type of razor that you're going to run into is this happens to be a 1964 double edge razor made by Gillette, and it's a slim adjustable. It's got the numbers on it. This one was replated again by, guess who? Backroads Gold. He did a beautiful job. This is nickel plated, but on this one, when you wash it, again, you dip it in soap. They all basically are done the same way. You go on the inside of the barn doors on both sides, and then down in this area in here, you want to make sure it's nice and clean. And then on the ends, I always miss the areas on the ends here because they, for some reason, I think because where they attach the darn, there's a little pivot point in there where the barn doors attach. I usually get those clean on both sides. I turn it around, and again, don't forget to go on the other side. You can get in here, if you can see that, around here, the whole thing. On this one, you can't really get too far in here. I usually sweep it around on the bottom, or the base at least, a little bit. You're not going to be able to go in too far because there's a retaining screw in there. But on this, I don't crank it down when I store it. I usually leave it open a little bit to let the air get at it. And again, what you can do is polish it with a rag if you want to. If you want to get inside of it, I usually take part of it, being careful not to put too much pressure on it. You don't want to bend those doors. Okay, so it's nice and clean. I've used this several times, and this thing looks like brand new. Okay, so close it up and then set it down to dry. And those are basically the four types of razors that you're going to run into. So please take your time, clean them. It's well worth it. It's like getting into a car that's nice and clean. It seems like it dries better. The same thing with a razor. They appear to shave better once you clean them up, and they're spotlessly clean. I hope this helps. Stay tuned for more, and there's a couple of videos that I'm going to put up on the screen before I leave. Thanks for stopping in. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.